Alright, look at this, reflections everywhere. It's look like a mirror's paradise here. Hello and welcome, this is Edgerunner Code and I would like to talk a little bit about ray tracing on Cyberpunk 2077. And to make this video the most fun as possible without making it too shallow, I will be marking on the top right of your screen a bracket with a number, and this number will be related to a specific link on the video description that will contain additional information of the subject I'm talking about. I hope you like this format and I would love to hear your feedback on the comment section below. And I would love to have your subscription to my channel, it's the only thing I'm asking in return, so please, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. So no more ado and let's get started. At June 2019, NVIDIA announced a partnership with CDPR to bring ray tracing to Cyberpunk 2077. This will be the first game of CD Projekt Red using this technology and I cannot wait to see the final results. In the meanwhile, let's take a look of what NVIDIA is teasing us about the game. But first of all, really quick overview of what ray tracing even is. As the name suggests, ray tracing is a technique that will trace back the rays of light back to the source. So in a nutshell, the camera will shine beams of rays that will be traced back until they hit a light source on the scene. All the transformations will be applied accordingly, like diffusion, refraction, reflection and all, based on physics models, and this information will be rendered on a pixel on your screen. So this is the how, and now let's check out what do you gain by doing this. Basically what you get from doing all this complicated math is more accurate shadows, reflections, and even global lighting. Here on this scene you can clearly see the effects of ray tracing on and off by looking at the reflexes this flamethrower can cause. Note how without ray tracing the scene is not rendered very accurately. And this is what you gain by using ray tracing, more accurate lighting. But what do you lose by using ray tracing? Well, it is a very demanding algorithm and will consume a lot of resources from your GPU. So even though in theory you don't even need a GPU to run ray tracing, you can even do it on your CPU running on XL. And trust me, it is possible. It's not very efficient. And on video games, you want to do this real time, at least 60 or so times per second. And this was only possible with the newest generations of RTX cards from NVIDIA. And talking about RTX cards, NVIDIA launched in February 2020 an exclusive Cyberpunk RTX 2080 Ti. The card is so gorgeous. I mean, I really would like one. But too bad that nowadays it is selling from $3,000 to $4,000 on eBay, which is like 3 to 4 times more expensive than a normal 2080 Ti. Alright, so that was the quick overview of what ray trace is and how can you get it running. And now let's go straight to Cyberpunk ray tracing. So even though the latest gameplay is not running with ray tracing active, the trailer is allegedly using it. And why I'm saying allegedly, the main reason is because there have been a lot of rumors and side chats saying that the Gig trailer is not actually using ray tracing. And this is exactly what I'd like to discuss with you on this video. So let's go straight into a side-by-side comparison between the trailer graphics and the gameplay footage. So even though they are really similar, when you put them side by side, you can start to see some difference. If we ignore the difference in resolution, mostly due to YouTube compression, the only notable difference between those two shots are indeed the reflections. And especially on those very reflective surfaces, like the wet concrete over there. Another difference is in light intensity output. Here on the trailer on the left side we have a much more soft lighting coming from those neons, and this is especially true when you look to Lizzie's bar sign. On the gameplay it's almost white, and on the trailer you can see the shades of blue going on there. Also, for some really strange reason, the mix it up sign is turned off on the gameplay. I have no idea why. Maybe it blew up the lighting budget for the client or something. I had no idea why that sign will be turned off though. On the second shot here, it is really interesting because one may say that the gameplay is using ray tracing because there's these reflections on the floor and all, and the game trailer doesn't have those reflections. But I really don't think is the case. First of all, I don't think those two scenes are being illuminated with the exact same lighting from the outside. I think they are on different places on the city. But overall, the lighting is pretty much the same. I mean, the interior lights are very accurate, not using ray tracing anyway, so I personally don't see any big gain by using ray tracing here on this. On this shot from the basketball court that is outside of Lizzie's bar, we can see a lot of things going on. On the left side, there's a clear difference between the reflections there. There's also occlusion on those plants that are growing on the cement cracks. And we also have the reflections being casted from those apartments right next to the bar's door. Here we also have some not very accurate reflexes going on the gameplay footage. I think this golden pants is shining so bright the light that is actually reflecting on the floor, and that's not very realistic if you ask me. I don't think this will be bright enough to cause this effect. And as you can see on the remainder of the examples I bring into you, there isn't much going on here. I mean, it's pretty much exactly the same. Also, NVIDIA released a handful of brand new screenshots from the game using the ray tracing in all of them. So let's take a look on that. So in this shot, you can clearly see the ray trace diffuse illumination. This technique captures sky radiance as well as emissive lighting from various surfaces and will create these super realistic beams of rays there. This effect will also enable billboards and other light sources to create a diffuse, realistic global lighting. Here we have a showcase of the most obvious, which is ray trace reflections, and this will be used on all surfaces across the game. The biggest advantage is that ray tracing reflections do not have a maximum distance where they can travel. They can even travel for several kilometers in-game. Another thing that they are capable of is casting reflections from objects that are being obstructed. So if you have a light that's not being rendered on the scene, you can still see its reflection on the other objects. On this shot, we have a really good example of ray-traced ambient occlusions. An ambient occlusion is a shader technique that is used to calculate how much light does a specific point of the scene should be receiving. So in this case, it is being used to create those sharp shadows instead of more diffuse ones that will be the case using regular techniques like classic non-ray tracing techniques. And it will overall create a more believable and realistic scene. And here in this final example, we have ray traced shadows. By ray tracing shadows, it enables the developers to bring like a really crisp and sharp pixel accuracy for the shadows and free from the limitations of using normal shadow maps. So you can have multiple directional shadows from different light sources and they will blend in super smoothly. And there are many other screenshots that you can look at their webpage. But the biggest question for me remains, is it worth it though? Doing those fancy ray tracing effects. I mean, some people may argue that ray trace is just a very fancy and expensive effect that makes everything more wet. And I could maybe agree to that. So I don't know, I'll definitely be using it because turns out that I have a 2080 Ti graphics card. So I'll be doing all sorts of analysis with ray tracing on and off and performance impacts whenever the game is released. Also keep in mind that this game has been announced support for DLSS 2.0, and this is really huge. I might even do a whole separate video just to talk about this. So if you don't want to miss that and many more Cyberpunk content, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more, Don't forget to like the video if it was helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you next time.